Chase told Jamal no for 18 years straight, but after a 2-minute phone call and a few carefully chosen words that made him sound like the perfect customer, they finally caved in and gave him the increase he'd been chasing for nearly 2 decades. And the data points that Jamal shared hit me hard because if you've ever felt like the system is rigged or that no matter what you do, your bank just won't budge, you're not alone. I promise you. So coming up, I'll show you the exact script Jamal used word for word to get Chase to finally say yes, how he pulled this off even with multiple baddies still sitting on his credit report, and the absolutely wild spend he had to run through the card in 6 months that sealed the deal. And before I forget, if you're tired of hard pulls just to check your pre-approval odds, get my free pre-approval master list. It has 70 plus cards on it that you can check for pre-approval without a hard credit pull. Just hit the link below to get instant access. Now, a few weeks back, I shared a strategy to increase your Chase credit card limit every 90 days. And you know what? Jamal took it seriously. He ran the play exactly like I laid it out. But what made his story so powerful is what he went through before this win. What happened is he had the same Chase Freedom card, which is previously the Slate card, since 2007. That card came through the old Washington Mutual days, and for nearly 20 years, Chase never once increased his credit limit. He was stuck at a $3,000 limit year after year after year. So let that sink in for a second. 2 decades, 0 increases. And every time he asked Chase to bump it up, they said no. Jamal told me straight up it was demoralizing. At times, it felt like no matter how hard he worked, he'd never break through. He said there were moments he just felt completely stuck. But you know what? He didn't give up. Over the past 14 months, he's been following my videos and reading my newsletters. He even said watching your channel and listening to your advice took me from a FICO score of 590 up to 722 in 14 months. And I didn't have to pay some company, a ton of money for removals. I just needed a little bit of patience. So let that sink in. That's a 130 plus point swing with no paid credit repair service and really no magic tricks. Just real behavioral change, persistence, and solid strategy. So when he saw that Chase credit limit increase guide I shared a few weeks back, he finally felt ready. So he picked up the phone, used the exact script that I gave out, and called Chase's lending department. And for the first time in nearly 20 years, they actually said yes this time. So they approved his request and bumped his limit up from $3,000 up to $5,000 with no hard pull. There was no additional underwriting, just a well-timed call and a proven script and a rep who listened to him. He literally said to me, "I'm shocked that this worked." So here's the exact script that he used. He said, "I'm making this my go-to card and shifting most of my spending through Chase now. My income's also increasing soon, so I expect my monthly usage to grow quite a bit. I always pay on time and keep my balances low, and I just want to make sure I've got the right limit to manage that spending without hurting my credit score. I really want to grow with Chase, and I already bank with you guys, and I plan on opening a business checking account in the near future." Also, after 2 decades of being told no, Jamal didn't leave anything up to chance. He came in prepared, intentional, and with a playbook that made Chase finally see him as the ideal customer. So here's what he actually did differently and why it worked. So what he did was use that script word for word. He didn't just wing it, so no freestyling. Jamal pulled up the exact call script that I just shared, and he stuck to it like glue. And I just want to say this script works so well because it hits all the right signals that Chase reps are trained to listen for. It's looking at the increased income. It's showing that you can handle a bigger limit. Then there's the increased usage. Cars that collect dust in the sock drawer don't make banks any money. And then there's the multiple payments per month. And that signals strong cash flow and financial discipline. And then there's that long-term loyalty. Banks reward customers who want to grow the relationship. It's not magic, but it speaks the language banks understand. And when an actual human is reviewing your case, how you tell your story can be just as important as the numbers on your report. And something else he did is he treated Chase like a priority since January of this year. So Jamal ran over $11,000 through his Chase card, and not just to chase points, but to prove a point. He wasn't just holding a Chase card. He was actively showing Chase that they matter. He paid the balance in full every month and kept overall utilization at just 1%. This wasn't some last-minute attempt to impress a rep. This was consistent, responsible usage, the kind of behavior banks reward. And then he got a real person to override the algorithm. Chase had already denied him using the same credit report, but this time a human rep actually listened. So Jamal calmly walked through his case, The usage, the payments, the recent income increase, and that was enough to flip a no into a $2,000 credit limit increase approval. And that was instant, no hard pull. And that's really the power of calling in and telling your story the right way. A lot of people don't know this, but banks forgive faster than you think. Because let's be honest, Jamel's old credit history wasn't pretty. He had charge-offs, repossessions, and multiple 90-day lates. But here's the thing, that was old news. Those baddies were in the rearview mirror, and every month that passed, they mattered less and less. And what banks, especially Chase, care most about is recent behavior, typically the last 24 months. And that's the window where your actions carry the most weight. And Jamal was sitting at 19 clean months, no missed payments, no drama. He was getting closer and closer to that golden 24-month mark, and it showed. And from the bank's perspective, he looked like someone who, turned the corner. Also someone who had made the mistakes and learned from them and was now operating like a low-risk borrower. He didn't really erase his past. He outgrew it, one on-time payment at a time. So if you call in, here's going to be the play if you want to walk into that phone call with the strongest shot at getting approved. Don't just ask for a credit limit increase. Set yourself up to deserve one. Because Chase isn't just listening to what you say, they're watching how you use the card. So the first thing is you want to show activity, not dust. Use your card consistently. We're talking 5 to 10 transactions per month. So use that for groceries, gas, subscriptions, even takeout. It doesn't matter. Just keep the wheels turning. Chase really wants to see that this card isn't sitting in the sock drawer. And then 2, you want to make multiple payments a month instead of just paying once at the end of the month. So try making 2 to 4 payments per month. This signals strong cash flow and shows Chase that you're serious about keeping your balance in check, even if you're spending more. And then 3, you want to keep that utilization tight. So if you want a way to get flagged as high risk, carry high balances. If you want to be seen as responsible, keep that utilization below 10%, especially right before your statement closes. And then 4, you want to update your income. This is one of the biggest levers that Chase uses to calculate your limit, and yet most people never update it. So log into your Chase account, go to your profile, and update your annual household income. So if your income's going up, let them know. That one move alone could be the difference between a $2,000 limit and a $20,000 limit. And then 5, you want to keep your Chase accounts in good standing. So if you got a checking account, savings account, or even another Chase credit card, make sure you're not overdrafting or carrying late payments or ignoring those balances. All of it really plays into your trust score with Chase internally. So before you ever call in, give Chase a reason to say yes. And the biggest reason I always tell people to start with Chase is because once you've got that relationship built, it's an easy jump into business funding. And right now, nobody's doing 0% APR business credit cards better than they are. Recently, a small business owner got approved for a $55,000 Chase Inc. Unlimited card with no docs. So check out the next video right here to see the 4 reasons they still got approved for their first Chase Inc. card, even with a 680 credit score and 2 baddies reporting on their report, and how they scored a $14,000 credit limit increase in under 30 seconds. Thank you for watching.